What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Geselle and if you're new here, I'm an ultrasound technologist who lives in Vegas and loves Disney, obviously. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I would appreciate if you subscribed and hit the like button to help us out. We're growing, we're on the road to 3K. And if you guys have already been subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing, for being here, for coming to my videos, commenting below, helping us grow. It has been one amazing journey and I am just here to help you guys, spread kindness, be more positive, and help you through your ultrasound journeys. With that being said, there have been plenty of questions that I've been asked this past week, and one of them that has been sitting on my heart that I think you guys could really use a video on is Ardms certification, specialties, board exams, SPI, all these things under the umbrella of Ardms. Now, these things can get
really confusing.
For some reason, it's just really confusing until you actually get into your program and you are actually at that point of getting your registry and getting those credentials after your name. So a lot of you guys who are asking all these questions about the registry board exams or are confused about a lot of them, a lot of times you guys are not yet in the program or you're in the program and they're not really explaining it well to you. So this video is kind of just to break down the Rdms, registries, board exams, kind of explain a little bit about it to you so that you can understand it a little bit more, especially if you're someone that's going in and still deciding whether you want to be registered in general, OB, vascular, echo, pediatrics, etc. Now, a lot of times people are confused about this because there's just so many specialties and there's so many things about ultrasound that you need to know before you go into the programs and choose your school. So this video may help you when deciding which school to go to, especially because you need to learn first about the different specialties before you can actually sit down and take these specialty board exams. So with all that being said, thank you guys again for being here. Grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and let's just get started. To start off, Ardms stands for American Registry for Diagnostic Sonography. So in order to work in the US, most places, pretty much all places, are going to require you to be registered through Rdms. Now this is for any general techs, vascular techs, or echo techs. So whichever track you end up going towards in your ultrasound program, you are going to have to sit for the Ardms board exams. Now the Ardms board exams are what gets those little letters after your name, RDMS or RVT or RDCS. Those letters will go after your name once you take the specialty board exams. Now before you can take those specialty board exams, you must take the SPI, which is the Sonography Principles and Instrumentation exam, the SPI Physics exam, the exam that everyone talks about because that's the test you're going to take when you are finished with your ultrasound physics class. If you go to an accredited school, you can still take this test while a student, and if you go to a non-accredited school, sometimes they're going to make you take an ARRT exam, and then you need a 1-year experience or something, and then you have to go and take your board exams that way. Now, that is why some people don't want you to go to a non-accredited school, but the whole non-accredited school versus accredited school
is a whole nother argument and a whole nother thing for a whole nother video.
Just note you need to go to a school that will allow you to sit for Ardms board exams, or they will tell you how you can take the Ardms board exams, what the pathway is to go take those board exams. So make sure wherever you go, you talk to them first about, hey, can I take the Ardms board exams after taking the physics class, after going to this program, etc., etc. Just make sure before you choose a program, they will allow you to sit for the Ardms board exams. And the first one that you're going to take is that SPI. SPI is very important because you need to take SPI first to take any other specialty board exams. This is where most people are like confused because they're like, well, my school offers a general program. So there's going to be abdomen, there's going to be OB, there's going to be small parts. And then there's another program that does only vascular. So that means you can sit for the vascular board exam. Or there's another school that will only teach echo. So then you're going to be able to sit for the echo exam, depending on what school and what track you go to. So if you go to general, if you go to vascular, or if you go to echo, all three of those programs will explain to you how you're going to be able to sit for ARDMS and which board exams you're going to be able to sit in. Your main priority is to get that SPI exam first, because that's the test you need to take specialty board exams. You can be specialized in any registry you choose. There will be abdomen, OBGYN, there will be vascular, echo, fetal echo, musculoskeletal. There's a whole bunch of different specialties you can go into, but a lot of times the main ones that people are going to get after they finish their program are abdomen, OBGYN, or vascular. These exams are specialty board exams, and these exams are going to get you that RDMS or RVT or RDCS after your name. So in order to take any specialty board exams, you have to first, one, have already taken the SPI, and two, you will need to have somebody sponsor you and sign off the clinical verification form that ARDMS makes you print out and have someone sign. What this means is that they are going to sign a piece of paper that states that they have seen you physically scan a patient of that specialty board exam, and not just one, multiple. They need to be able to sign you off saying, hey, I've seen this person, they have scanned a bunch of abdomens, they know what they're doing, they've seen pathology, they've seen abnormalities, they understand how to talk to patients and scan and do protocols. So this person that's sponsoring you signs you off on a clinical verification form, and then you turn that into ARDMS, and then they allow you to sit for the specialty board exam after they approve your application. This process is confusing because many people think if you're specialized in abdomen, you will only scan abdomen, or if you're specialized in OBGYN, you will only scan OBGYN. That is not the case. You can be registered in any board exam and still scan other types of exams. And you can scan any part of the body. For example, when I first graduated, I came out from a general program. So because I went to a general program, I was taught everything but the heart. And that means I could sit for any board exam except for the heart, as long as I get somebody who would sign me off with a clinical verification form stating that I know what I'm doing, I know how to do those exams, and I basically know what I'm scanning and what I'm looking at. So if you go to a vascular program and no one teaches you abdomen or OBGYN, you will have to still learn abdomen and OBGYN out in the field while you're at work, and then somebody at that place of work or somebody who is watching you scan, probably that person who taught you how to do abdomen OBGYN, they can sign you off for the clinical verification form saying that they saw you, that you know how to scan abdomens and OBGYN, and then you can just go sit in for your abdomen or OBGYN registry. So you're not just limited to the one board exam that you are taught in your school. A lot of times people in echo, they want to know how to do abdomen. If you get hired as an echo tech and then somewhere down the line you want to get your RDMS credentials in abdomen or OB, you just have someone train you in one or the other, and then you get them who has the registry themselves sign you off, sponsor you, and then you apply to take that board exam. I don't know why this is so confusing.
I hope I'm making sense.
I just want you guys to know that you're not limited to what they teach you in your program. There are other registries that you're able to sit in as long as you get somebody to sign you off on that clinical verification form. So for example, when I graduated, I took abdomen and I took vascular, and now I'm studying for pediatric sonography. So I have abdomen and vascular after my name, and now that I'm going to take pediatric sonography, I'll have that after my name too. But before I even get this registry in pediatrics, I still was already scanning pediatric patients. So just because you don't have a pediatric registry after your name doesn't mean you're not going to scan pediatric cases. Now, why is all this important? Why is having these registries after your name important? Because having these registries say that you're competent and you have the knowledge, the skills, you understand that type of exam, you understand the abdomen fully, you understand OBGYN, you understand how to do vascular. These credentials are going to say that, hey, I took that exam, I know how to do these exams, and it gives you a little bit more leverage comparing you to another technologist who does not have those board exam registries. So if I was going to apply for a job, I would tell them, hey, I have registries in abdomen, vascular, hopefully peds when I pass it. So I'll tell them that I have the pediatric registry as well. And then if they have another person that's trying to apply too, who only has, let's say they only have their breast registry, well, they'll most likely look at me a little bit more because I have more registries behind my name versus that other person who only has one registry. So it's kind of just like something that makes you look good on your resume. It shows everyone that you're knowledgeable, you have these skills and able to do those exams, and that you took these really hard tests that are like 180 questions. And yeah, it's just kind of like, something to back you up, to say you know what you're doing. And the reasons why you have to have some of these registries behind your name is because some hospitals and some clinics and some areas are going to ask you to have a specific registry. So that is something that you need to consider. My hospital, for example, when I first got hired, you needed to be registered in RDMS. It doesn't matter what you're registered in. You could have been registered in abdomen, breast, OBGYN, any kind of registry under RDMS. At my hospital, you had to at least be registered under RDMS with one board exam. And then within 1 year of hire, you needed to take the vascular registry. That means the vascular registry is required to work there. And just recently, a couple months ago, they changed it to where you must have a pediatric sonography board exam behind your name because it is a pediatric hospital. So it wasn't required before when I started working there a few years ago. It's now required there, and we have 18 months from hire. So any new hires, you have 18 months from when you're hired to take that pediatric board exam if you don't already have it. So it's a lot of money that you have to put through an exam. But if you really want to work at this place, then you kind of have to just do it, sit down, bunker down, study, and do your best to take these exams. Another example is that I just got hired at an outpatient place back in October, and all they really wanted was for me to be registered in anything under RDMS. It wasn't specific to vascular or abdomen or OB. It wasn't specific to anything. They just wanted me to be registered under RDMS. So that was pretty cool. There are some places that are going to ask you to be registered in vascular. There are some places that are going to ask you to be registered in OBGYN. They're going to say, hey, we prefer you to have OBGYN under your name. So I can't really apply to any OB clinics because they probably want me to be registered in OBGYN. And while I'm not registered in OBGYN, I still do scan OBs and pelvics in the hospital and at my outpatient facility. But just because I don't have the OBGYN registry after my name doesn't mean I don't know what I'm doing. It's just I didn't take the test and blah, 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 blah. So if I want to in the future, I can take OBGYN and have that registry under my name too. I just want you guys to know that there is no limit to what registries you can take. If you want to be echo registered and you're a general registered person or you're a vascular registered person, you can still also get registered in echo. You just have to be trained in echo and have someone sponsor you, sign you off on that clinical verification form, and then take your echo board exam, and then you can do echoes. But it's a whole nother story because that's kind of like cross-training. You're going to be cross-training in any other type of field, kind of like vascular. If you don't know vascular, that means they're going to be training you how to do vascular, and then someone's going to sign you off to take that vascular board exam so that you can add RVT to your name. I hope that was kind of helpful and not confusing, but just know that you can take any specialty board exam so long as somebody who already has that registry will sponsor you, sign you off on that clinical verification form, and you go ahead and apply for the test, schedule your test, and take the test and pass the test. So the most important test that you guys are going to need to take, obviously, is that SPI board exam. So when you go onto ardms.org, there is going to be a prerequisite to any of these board exams. Now, this prerequisite for SPI, there are a ton of different ones because some of you guys are coming from a non-accredited school versus an accredited school, etc., etc. So if you're confused about how to apply for SPI or what you need to apply for SPI, go to ardms.org. Click on Get Certified and it will show you all the different things on how to apply, how to get that SPI, and what materials and things that you're going to need in order to apply for that board exam. Then once you pass that SPI, my suggestion is to get this book, Understanding Ultrasound Physics by Sydney K. Edelman, this green book. I highly recommend this. This is all you need to study physics. But pretty much once you pass that SPI exam, then you're gonna do the specialty board exams and figure out whichever one you want to do first, whichever one you think is gonna be the one that you understand the most. If you really like abdomen, I suggest picking abdomen. If you really like vascular, I suggest picking vascular. If you have to do OBGYN first because maybe you understand that a little bit more, pick OBGYN as your first exam. You can take any of these exams in any order that you want, but if there is a job that you know that you are looking into and that you want to work at, make sure you check to see if they have any required registries first before you take that first exam. Say you want to work in the pediatric hospital and they're requiring you to have abdomen, then make sure you take abdomen first. Say if you're gonna work at a echo facility and they need you to have the echo exam for peds, then you have to take the fetal echo exam. So, there are a ton of different exams, ton of different board exams. You can take them all. It just depends on which ones you want to take first and who is going to sign your clinical verification form. Is it going to be your lab instructor? Is it going to be your clinical instructor? Is it going to be somebody you have been working with? Basically, just find that person that is already registered in that board exam that you want to take, have them sign off your clinical verification form, and then you apply for your test. So because I am taking the pediatric board exam, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit what the clinical verification form says and what the person has to do in order to sign you off. You can also find this on ardms.org and they will be able to give you basically all the information that you need on that website. So what it looks like is this. A little form. It says ARDMS. It has the applicant's name, my ARDMS number, which you will get once you take the SPI board exam. It says you must use the correct form for each applied for specialty examination. Please upload this form for receipt within 21 days after applying for the pediatric sonography specialty examination. So that's going to say, abdomen or OBGYN or breast. It says to be eligible to sit for the PS, which is pediatric sonography specialty examination, the applicant must be able to demonstrate the following minimum core clinical skills necessary to establish eligibility for ARDMS examinations. Demonstration of minimum core clinical skills means that the sponsor directly observed the applicant perform the minimum core clinical skills independently and effectively. For purposes of satisfying this requirement, applicants must be evaluated while scanning actual patients. Simulation is not acceptable for this assessment. Applicants are responsible for meeting the requirements at the time of application. So in this clinical verification form, your sponsoring sonographer or a reporting physician initials, they're going to sign you off saying that you interacted appropriately with the patient or the staff. You identified the clinical questions and the goal of the exam. You recognize significant clinical information and historical facts from the patient and medical records. You reviewed data. You select the correct transducer. You know what frequency to use. You know how to use the machine and adjust the instrument controls. You know how to have knowledge and understanding in the Doppler principles, the spectral analysis and color flow imaging that's relevant to pediatric sonography. So yours might say that's relevant to abdomen or relevant to echo. You have to demonstrate knowledge of the anatomy and physiology, pathology, be able to demonstrate the ability to perform sonographic examinations, and lots of other stuff. Recognize, identify, document abnormal sonography patterns. You have to perform related measurements. You have to utilize appropriate examination recording devices to obtain pertinent documentation of examination findings. And just to let you guys know, these forms are valid for 1 year from the signature date of the sponsoring sonographer or reporting physician. The sponsoring sonographer must be an active status RDMS registrant. So they must be in good standing with ARDMS. and these forms must be signed by them. They have to have handwritten initials and signatures. They need to be able to basically just verify that you know what you're doing and you know how to do these types of exams. So that's pretty much it. Once you apply and send this clinical verification in, Rdms looks it up. They look at your history. They look at if you pass the SPI exam, and then they just approve your application, and then you study for your test and you schedule your test. So you can have as many board exam registries under your name if you want. A lot of the people that I work with have all of them. So, you know, it's just a goal to keep in mind. Remember, you can start off with just having one registry. You can have 2 registries. Right now I have 2 and I'm working on my 3rd. Hopefully in the future I'll do OBGYN and breast, but we will see. And I don't know, one day maybe I'll want to learn echo, who knows. But hope you guys found this video helpful. It is a lot of information. The board exams can be really confusing, really weird. I don't know why it's so confusing, but if you have any questions, please comment down below so that I can clarify anything for you. And this is solely for people who are in the US, who are going to be working within the US, and people who are coming from a US school. I don't know how it works with Canada. I think Canada has a whole another system, but I do know that, you know, we can basically become travel techs all over the world. We can work anywhere. I feel like if you know ultrasound and if you know one machine, you basically can work anywhere, really, as long as they're willing to take you and they're willing to accept you. As long as you're willing to learn and they're willing to teach, you can learn a lot in this field, and there's a lot of room for growth and expanding your knowledge, because we know a lot of things as ultrasound technologists. It is a lot of work. I mean, you're going through 2 to 4 years of school, sometimes 6 years of school, and then after all that, you still got to take all these tests, the SPI board exams, and then the specialty board exams. It's almost like it's never ending. But that's how it is in ultrasound. This field is a forever learning process. I work with people who have been ultrasound technologists for over 20 years, and they are still seeing things that they have never seen before. They are still changing up the protocols a little bit. Places have to be, you know, accredited by ACR, and ACR things are like changing every year. It's just, everything is just a continuous learning process. As long as you go to your ultrasound program, as long as you make sure you can sit for that Ardms board exam, as long as you take that SPI exam, pass it, you can sit for any of the other specialty board exams, so long as you know how to do those exams and somebody that is already registered in those exams signs you off and is your sponsor. So I hope that clarifies anything that you guys are wondering about the certifications and Ardms. If there's other things that I missed out, please comment down below too. And then also don't forget to go to ardms.org to find out all the information that you need for these board exams. Whew! That was a lot of info, y'all. So that's the end of the video. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and stay safe, stay positive, be kind to one another, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye!